Welcome back to YMT112 Algorithm and Programming 2. We are still discussing GUI applications. We discussed question 1 in the previous session. We explained about the lists and how we create multiple elements, add them to a list. However, this is not exactly convenient, especially for very long lists. And for this specific reason, we need to sometimes we need to create a list that shows not all of the elements at once, okay? Plus, we need to have some scrolling mechanism. So we need to have a scroll so that we move through the elements from top to bottom. And that's exactly the question that we are addressing now. So question 2 is asking us to modify the GUI of question 1. We created in the previous session, so if you haven't seen it, just go ahead and start up with it. And then we need to create a GUI similar to this. Just changing of the title doesn't matter. The change of the title is not actually a big deal. I customize it to UOLP courses. Then you need to create this scroll mechanism. So previously it was just a list, a plain list. Now we need to add this scroll mechanism. Keep the text non-editable. Keep the label the way it is, just the change of this text. I'm not going to write everything in detail, just wasting all of our time. You don't have to bother yourself with all the details if you have already mastered them. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I have just created a file, and I'll just remind you with the steps that we did earlier. We need to import all the classes that we're going to use. We need the swing class, bring all its functionalities or attributes, whatever that you have as a subclass in it, and also the event from swing, and we need the AWT also, we need it. Similar to previous question. Now I just created a new name, scroll course, so SC course list, so scroll course list. It's just a modification of the previous course list we created. So this is the course list we created. We explain about it in detail. So if you are interested and you haven't watched the video earlier, go to the first part, session 1, sorry, the second part of chapter, chapter 13, the session number 1. So go ahead and just watch the video. This is exactly a slight modification of it. We have all the components that we used earlier. We're not going to change any of them. The only thing, we need to create a modification. This one is just fine, okay? We forgot these two in the previous session. We just added them at the end. Now what we are going to have is the course panel is just fine also, but the only thing that we are looking for here is a slight modification of the mechanism of the list itself. Now, I don't want to add the course list the way it is, plain course list. Rather, I want to customize it. So what kind of customization are we speaking about? Now look, this is a plain list. We don't have a scroll, okay, and we are showing all the elements here. Whatever the elements that we have, there are 12, I guess, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 12, yes. Okay, 12 elements. Now we need to customize it to show only 2, 4, 6. Plus, we need to have the scroll. So we have 6 visible elements, and we have the scroll here to go through the elements that we cannot see. All right, and this is a common application that we usually use on daily basis while dealing with our machines, okay? So in that case, what we need to do, our plain list is not enough. So what we are going to do is we need to customize it itself. Leave this one the way it is, single selection, wouldn't change anything of the selection. What we need to do, we need to say, okay, we have a slight modification of our mechanism. So what are we going to do is set the visibility course list dot, okay, set visible, okay, and now what I'm going to do, not set visible row, okay, set visible row count. How many rows are we going to have visible, okay? And then we have an integer argument here stating or actually showing or declaring the number of rows that we are going to have. Now let me just place 6 and then I go back and explain. Now what we did, we said, okay, you've already created a course list and there is no problem with it. We registered its action to an action listener, so list listener. And then what we did is, sorry, no, this is not exactly an action listener, it's a list selection listener. It's not exactly like a button click, rather it is a selection. So that's why we call it a list selection listener. Why? Because the return of the selection itself has its own scenario. It's not like just a click of a button, okay? And that's why we cannot just apply the action listener here straight away, same like buttons. No, we have another type of action to be done, okay? So now what I said set the visibility, set the visibility or set the visible row count to what? To 6 rows. Now look, how many rows here do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 rows, we keep them visible. So if the question is asking you about 2 or 3, then you have to change based on exactly the question. And usually we ask these questions on exams. Like maybe we bring you similar to this as a GUI, and then we provide, let's say, I don't know, maybe 4, for example, visible rows, and we ask which, for example, we can make multiple choice, and we put different like instructions like this, for example, with different values, and see if you can get which one. So you need to understand that this is the row count and this is the visibility of the row count. Not exactly set visible, that's a different functionality. So we are setting visible the row count, okay, and then we say the row count 6. That's not the end of it. Why? Because we need a scroll. Well, you said that the visibility should be set to 6. How about the rest? So you need to add a scroll. So in that case, I need to create a jscroll. Okay, pane. All right, and then I give it a name. So use whatever name you like, maybe scroll, sc, pane, for example. And then I say I instantiate from the jscroll itself as a component, pane. And then what do I need to provide here? I need to provide exactly the list that I wanted to be customized to a scroll. So the course list. I have, okay, of course, there is a typo here, so I need to fix it. That's good. So now what we did is we created a scroll, and we said that our list should be maintained by the scroll component, okay? So we are not adding the list directly to the panel, rather we will add the scroll pane, which has our list, okay? So this is the customization. We set the visibility to 6, so we have 6 rows. It depends on actually the customization requested by the question. Then we created our scroll pane. So it's like a component where you place your list. You need to place your list on a scroll so that you can move up and down based on your visibility or whatever you want to visualize and see. Okay, so in that case, we created our pane or the scroll pane, then we place it to the component, not to the panel component, okay, not the course list directly. So we don't have a plain course list now. Rather, we have a new course list. Now here we don't have any change, same. We have the you selected and we have the text, non-editable text field. The list listener also same, so list selection listener is same. We don't have any change. Keep the selected value also single mode, so we don't have any problem with that. So single selection. And just the change of the instantiation. Earlier we had course list. We need to change it to the new class, and that's pretty much of it. Let me just run and show you how things go. Okay. All right. Okay, now look at our outcome. This is exactly what we are looking for. I didn't change the title. I can change it. You can change it yourself. Actually, because I put another title, it doesn't matter. You can change it. After running this one, we can change it. Now count 2, 4, 6. How about the rest? You can go down and move to the rest of them. And this is very convenient. Why? If we have very long lists, we cannot list all of them at once. Your component or the window, the graphical user interface will be extremely stretched, and that's not actually nice. Now you can apply your selection. It will be just similar to what we explained before. The customization here is the scroll, and it's extremely convenient. Now what I want from you is to apply what I requested from you earlier, creating some customized border for both, actually, for this list. Stretch it a little bit and customize the border, the outside or the outlier in here, and create also a border for this, for these two components. You can wrap them all together, for example, place them in one border, or if you want, you can create border for each one of them. And one more thing I want from you to do is use different colors of the border so that you learn how these things are done. Okay, if you have no idea about how to set the out border of these components, go back to chapter 12, the previous chapter that we explain about, and you will find one of the questions I explain about it and how we can customize these borders that we create for the components or the panels. Okay, and then you can get the idea from there and you can apply it. All right, that's pretty much of it for this question. I'll have another question soon. Until then, have a good time. Goodbye.